Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where's Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys no more fights, and so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One
game. Kid
had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, "I'm going to put an end to this." And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, "What is going on around here?" And the kid says, "That Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that." So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned their local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
we are airing in Boston, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C.
How about that?
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California, Arizona, Colorado, Oklahoma, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Vermont, Maine. I've been everywhere, man.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Football Friday. We got a very special show for you today. Darren Moose DuPont is not with us. He's traveling from Toronto to Vancouver to call university football on the weekend. So joining us is our very good friend, Jim Clubberlang, Canada's foremost NFL expert. On the way on this Football Friday, Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN, and 2 very special guests, 3-time Grey Cup champion and former Harvard defensive lineman Tim Fleiszer, and Justin Cooper. We'll tell you more why. 13 years defensive lineman with the Edmonton Eskimos, Red Deer product, and a very special interview coming up in hour 2. Clubber, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Rod. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm going to jump. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll jump right down to business. We'll get right down to business because there's things. We got Jim for a good time, but not a long time. We're going to open with Thursday Night Football on this Football Friday of our quick 6 show topics. Comeback wins are becoming the norm for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deontay Johnson had a 3-yard touchdown catch with about 4 minutes to go as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat Tennessee 20-16 in the NFL's Thursday night game. That was the kickoff to Week 9. 4 of the Steelers' 5 wins have come in games they trailed entering the fourth quarter. Jim, the games are really starting to mean something, aren't they? This one had its own meaning, but there's some awesome games here in Week 9.
And let's delve deeper into this game. I watched quite a bit of it, and this was, for most of the season, Pittsburgh Steelers fans have been chanting, Fire Canada, for their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, who they think is ruining the Steelers' offense. So for the first time since ever, like in college and pro, he's always called games from the press box, the coach's box. He went down to the sideline, and it really had an immediate impact on the flow and tempo of the Steelers' offense. They were balancing the run and the passing game well. Kenny Pickett played an efficient game, no interceptions. That was Deontay Johnson's first touchdown reception of the year. The Steelers' defense with T.J. Watt is still as frightening as ever. 4 sacks, 1 interception. And for all of their dysfunction, all the fire Matt Canada, the injuries and everything, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are 5-3. And this is one of the reasons that I don't understand why he doesn't get the credit he does as a coach. people think he's a motivator, he's this and that. He also knows football. I mean, look how long he's been in Pittsburgh. And with this team to be 5-3 at this point in the season, I think we need to start giving Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for holding the team together, for keeping Matt Canada inspired with all. I mean, how easy can it be to go to work when 60,000 people are chanting "Fire your name"? But he's held that team together, the coaching staff, the players, and they're 5-3, and now they have a long break after winning this Thursday night game. So, big credit to the Steelers. That was pretty impressive win last night, an important win for them.
Yeah, by the way, there's a lot of CFL fans that have come here to talk today. We'll be getting to that next segment when Jim Barker joins us, including the poll question today for Key Auto Group. You don't need to put the graphic up, fellas, but do you like the CFL moving their games from Sunday to Saturday? The division semifinals will go Saturday. You can vote on the poll now. Secondary poll is who should the Rough Riders hire as their head coach, but that's for later on because there's things I want to get to with Jim. Point two, several one-goal losses for Canadian teams around the NHL Thursday night. Ottawa dropped a 3-2 decision to Los Angeles. Boston got by the Leafs 3-2 in a shootout. Dallas held off Edmonton 4-3. And Montreal lost in Arizona 3-2. In Vegas, the Golden Knights bombed the Jets 5-2, and the blowout, that everybody's talking about, San Jose walloped 10-1 by Vancouver. Yes, Vancouver looks for real. But, Jim, you're the Leaf guy. And I didn't watch the Leafs game, but I heard it on NHL radio that something happened. So how much are they talking about what happened? And you tell me Marchand's behind it last night at TD Garden.
Yeah, it's a classic play with a defenseman going into the corner and a forward trying to chase him down. And it's the classic battle for all hockey, except Marchand sort of hooks Timothy Liljegren's foot with a skate, and it's a quasi-slew foot. Now, Marchand is an experienced and talented enough player to try to mask a slew foot. But if you look at the stills and look at the slow-mo, he slew-footed Liljegren into the boards. Liljegren is in no man's land at that point when he loses his edge, goes into the boards hard, and Sheldon Keefe right after the game said, hey, he's going to be out for a long time. Lower body injury, and it's going to be a while until he's healthy enough to play. But this has been Brad Marchand since he started playing on a regular basis in the NHL. He lives rent-free in the heads of the Maple Leafs. And we were looking at this off the air. Think about this. Brad Marchand is closing in at 1,000 games. He has almost 900 points. He's going to have well over 1,000 points before all is said and done in his career. And he's one of the more effective agitator pests in the history of the league. And he can play. And he's so effective against the Leafs. He just, every time he plays the Leafs, he does something to get under their skin. And he thrives off of it. And look, last night, Wes McCauley was watching the play, decides not to call a penalty. Everyone in Toronto is screaming for a suspension. I doubt it's going to happen because there was no penalty call in the play. But that's Brad Marchand in a nutshell. But I think what was more fascinating to me was Brad Treliving in the offseason moved heaven and earth to get Ryan Reeves and Tyler Bertuzzi for these kind of games. When a Brad Marchand does that to Timothy Liljegren and nothing happened. There was no response. I mean, there was a lot of chirping from the bench, but if Brad Marchand just kind of looked at him and shrugged his shoulders and laughed, he's been getting yelled at and people swearing at him since he started playing hockey at 9 years old.
Well, I said to Matthew Barnaby, I can't remember if it was a banquet we did together or on this show, I said, what do you think about Brad Marchand? I expected him to say, I hated him. And Barney said, he's everything I wished I could have been. A pest, but can also play. As you said, he'll be a 1,000-point guy by the time all is said and done. And by the way, the same thing happened here in Sunrise. Nylander, if you watch that game, Leafs at Panthers, Nylander got run on a dirty shot. Nothing was done then.
Yes.
So at some point, these guys better wake up. As I said, a good time, not a long time with Jim Lang. People forget of the lengthy list of things on Jim's star-studded resume. One is the voice of the Argos. That's where we met. What was that, 1 year,
Yes.
2 year? How long did you do that, Jimbo?
1 year because the owner at the time, Sherwood Schwartz, ran out of money for year two. So they had no radio for the second year.
Oh, gotcha.
True.
Okay. So the reason I bring it up is point three. No surprise here. Winnipeg's Zach Collaros and Toronto's Chad Kelly are the quarterback selections for the CFL's divisional all-star teams. Collaros is one of 11 Blue Bombers on the West squad. Kelly is one of 14 Argos on the East team. So that's the news out of Thursday at the CFL. It's what I love about daytime sports talk. We got breaking news today. out of Hamilton. The Tiger Cats have listed Matthew Schultz as their starting quarterback for the Eastern semifinal at Montreal Saturday. Not Bo Levi Mitchell. Matthew Schultz is going to start. At the very least, I guess they feel that if he falters, they can go with Bo. Maybe he's nicked. I don't know, but this is a fairly stunning development, I would suggest, for that game. So the CFL, more than anything, broader question is the poll question today for Key Auto Group. And by the way, at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. I threw Clark a curve, and I apologize for that, Clark. Our YouTube audience is voting on the poll that they think that it is. Who should be the Rough Riders coach? Paul Lapalisse is leading that. What I've put on Twitter, and I'm putting out on the air, is do you like the CFL moving the playoff games from Sunday to Saturday? I just looked on Twitter, Jim, over 80% of respondents saying yes, they like it. I certainly do. How do you feel about it?
I thought this was something the CFL should have done years ago. I mean, the Saturdays, basically Saturday afternoons are wide open in Canadian sports television. You've got your 1 o'clock game, your 4 o'clock game, and then the Saturday night hockey rotation doesn't begin to 7 p.m. So for the 6 p.m. highlight show in the weekend, you've got the CFL to yourself. You've got your reporters. I mean, on Sunday, fair or not, you were swamped with NBA games, Major League Baseball, the full slate of NFL games. And you can't give it as much airtime and as much time and effort as you would like. To me, moving it to the Saturday is such a smart move. I'm so glad they did this. I remember years ago, this would have been in 2003, the Argos were forced to have a home playoff game against Hamilton on a Friday night because of a Wiggles concert, if you remember that. And they had 35,000. And it was one of the best atmospheres for an Argos game I can ever remember at Rogers Center. And it was a Friday night. And there was no other sports competing against them. And Michael Shea afterwards in the locker room, he was emotional, saying that they've worked so hard to create an atmosphere and a night like that. And they got it. And they played their butts off and they won the game. So I like this whole Saturday afternoon divisional playoff thing. I hope it stays because they should have done that a long time ago, Rod.
They did it 1 year in 2008. The ratings plummeted, and they're like, ooh, we got to go back. And I'm like, it's going to take more than 1 year, guys.
Yes.
Jim Barker is next, and we'll get way more into the CFL talk next segment because Jim, NFL's his thing. So point 4, a stacked lineup of games Sunday could determine plenty come January in the National Football League. The action begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern with a marquee matchup between the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, who are 6-2, and the similarly 6-2 Miami Dolphins in the NFL's first game ever in Frankfurt, Germany. It's a potential AFC Championship game preview. The conference, though, is wide open as the Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, and Jaguars each have the same record here at the season's midway point. The Bills and Bengals are also in the mix. They meet Sunday night in Cincy. So the stakes are high in that playoff rematch. I told you earlier I listened to NHL radio, Jim, in the morning. Reason being, I get tired of the Dolphins talk down here. It's not anybody's fault. It's not the Dolphins talk, but my God, and they finally have a good team. I can't imagine what it was like when they were losing. What's the game of the week in the NFL for you?
I think we should also point out Dallas-Philadelphia, Cowboys and Eagles in Philadelphia. That's going to be a huge game in the NFC. Because, I mean, Dallas, to me, has been impressive. The Eagles as well. And these two teams could be the deciding teams in the NFC for the Super Bowl. The Bengals, watch out for the Bengals because Joe Burrow is finally 100% healthy. He wasn't healthy in September. He was still recovering from lingering health issues from training camp. But, Rod, let me tell you something. Beware the Bengals. And you know that Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, are more than a little concerned about going into Cincinnati Sunday night to play a Bengals team, which is on a real roll right now, and they know Joe Burrow's feeling it. I'm fascinated by some of the words coming out of the Chiefs-Miami game in Germany because they've been in Germany for a couple days meeting with the media, and Mike McDaniel's trying to play it down like this is not, a preview, it's another game. But I don't think Tyreek Hill views it as another game. I think he's determined to put on a real show. Now, if you look at his numbers this year, how much more of a show could Tyreek Hill put on than he is so far this season? So if I'm Kansas City, if I'm the Chiefs coaching staff, they have got to figure out a way to never allow single coverage on Tyreek Hill. Their secondary is not that good to put one guy in Tyreek Hill and expect to cover him. It's not possible. Teams have tried it all year, they can't do it. So they're going to have to double up against Tyreek Hill to have any hope of stopping him, because he seems, by everything he's been saying to the media, that he's determined to show the Chiefs what they miss in not having him there in the red and white.
Well, I don't mind spending a minute on this. Sunday, I was at the Dolphins game, and I sat with Gil Scott and Craig Jeffrey, and it was awesome. And Tyreek Hill hadn't done a thing all game. As a matter of fact, I had to look to see if he was playing. And the very next play, 42-yard touchdown, gone. And I believe our friend Craig had just said to me, so you'll take a CFL game over the NFL if you have a choice? And I'm like, yeah, I just think the game's more wide open. It moves faster, doesn't have these boring TV timeouts and blah, blah, blah. And then, and I'm like, well, you don't have that. What league does? Tyreek Hill is on another planet. And to land the plane, he's not in KC simply because they couldn't afford him. It's not a character issue, is what I've been told.
Yeah, but he still, for Tyreek Hill, he still feels like they should have paid him. I mean, that's what his feeling is, and that's what he's saying. But what he's doing this year as a receiver and his speed, and what Mike McDaniel's doing as an offensive coach, an offensive mind, is utilizing all his players to their full capability. The one thing the Dolphins have over any other offense is almost seemingly unlimited speed with Hill and Waddle and Mostert and all of their players. They can just get down the field. And now, you had alluded to the CFL. A lot of coaches like McDaniel and other coaches around the NFL have spent a lot of time studying the motion, the pre-snap motion of the CFL, and are trying to incorporate it within the rule structures of the NFL. Of course, you can't run up to the line of scrimmage because you can't do that in NFL rules. But the constant back and forth, there is more of that than ever before. And it's always the thought that if you can get a linebacker or a safety going the wrong way and create a mismatch and create a one-on-one with a Tyreek Hill or a Justin Jefferson in Minnesota or some of the special players that you have around the NFL, CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, that's an advantage for your offense. And so this is the funny thing about how Canadians view the CFL. NFL coaches have been deeply studying the CFL, their offenses, and motion, and trying to incorporate it into their offenses. And that's definitely something Miami's done and other teams around the league are doing right now, because some of these defenses are so good in the NFL now, Rod. You have to see, what can we do to create an advantage? Maybe with unlimited motion, maybe with a ton of motion, we create confusion and somehow, some way, get our best players in a one-on-one position and have a chance for them to go down the field and make a big play. Because if you just go 11 and 11, a lot of these defenses are just going to lock you up.
Yeah, well, as Mark Trestman said, it's a beautiful game, whoever designed it. If you can believe, Jim, we're right out of time. Thanks for stepping in, man. It was awesome. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care, Rod. All the best. You're the best.
CFL. Hey, learn from this guy, Jim Clubber Lang. CFL on TSN's Jim Barker is next, five-time Grey Cup champion, and we'll talk about the breaking news today. Matthew Schultz will start a quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats over Bo Levi Mitchell in Saturday's Eastern semifinal at Montreal against my Cody and the Alouettes. It's a Football Friday live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Football Friday continues. Shout out to Canada West. That's why Moose isn't with us. He's on his way to Vancouver to broadcast the UBC Thunderbirds. They got the Manitoba Bisons in there this weekend for a semifinal, and the Saskatchewan Huskies are at Alberta. And first place in each Southeastern Conference division is on the line in Week 10 of NCAA football, the college football season. The race to Atlanta for the championship game could be all but over when Saturday's done. The last SEC on CBS doubleheader before the conference moves its showcase games to ABC. Next year features East leading #1 Georgia hosting #14 Missouri in the afternoon, and #13 LSU at West leading #8 Alabama at night. Crimson Tide have a one-game lead on both LSU and #11 Mississippi, and if they win, they could clinch a spot already in the title game. All right, let's bring in Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN. Jim, I didn't see this one coming. Breaking news, Matthew Schultz will start the semifinal in the East Division over Bo Levi Mitchell. What is going on there for Hamilton?
Well, last week on your show, we talked about Scott Milanovich not being afraid to do what he thinks he has to do. And I can guarantee you this would be his call. And that first half last week for Bo Levi, they had 1 first down. And I said on the air, it just didn't give you those warm and fuzzies. And then when he didn't come out for the second half, again, I am a little surprised. But, Schultz gives them a different look. I mean, here's the bottom line, Rod. For the Hamilton Tiger Cats to win this game, they have to be able to formation them and run the football. James Butler has got to get involved. Their receiving core is not at the caliber to be able to carry this team forward. They're not the BC Lions. That's not their strength. That's not what they're doing well this year. Tim White, great receiver, but he's not a #1, a guy you can put out there one-on-one and know he's going to win the battle. So that's what they have to do. Schultz gives them an option off the run. He's a true run threat, which means now they have to defense almost another gap when they defense him. And like I say, I think they're going to do a lot of things formation-wise, utilizing tight ends and double tights and tight end wing sets to create problems for their secondary to force them into becoming run defenders. Schiltz allows that. Bo Levi gives them a play-action threat that if those linebackers want to play downhill, they can go over the top to them. So it's kind of a neat 1-2 punch for this week because, again, I think it's one of those things. They will run the ball. They have to run the ball to have success, not turn it over. And Schiltz gives them that added threat running the ball. Bo Levi can come in and give them that play-action threat. So if they start to play downhill, Bo Levi comes in and they throw the ball over the linebackers' heads into those holes in front of the secondary. So it's going to be what an interesting game. I can't wait for this game.
Well, interestingly enough, our viewers voted Calgary at BC as the game of the week. But again, we are kind of Western Canada-based / themed. But I'm not done on this. I think this is a surprise to everybody because I read the game notes, and even the CFL had Bo Levi's 5-3 in the playoffs as a starter. Cody Fajardo's 1-2. Nobody expected this. So what about the Montreal defense? What does this do to their prep?
Well, again, it affects their prep in that Schiltz is such a runner. So now they have to be more concerned about him pulling the ball in the perimeters and maintaining backside contain, things that with Bo Levi you don't worry about as much. You worry more about, if they're going to run the ball, the play action and things along those lines. But he's not going to hurt you running the ball in their running game where Schiltz can. So that's an added deal for their secondary. So for the Montreal defense, again, I think they're undersized. Last week, they went to a 3-3 front where they took Sewell, didn't dress. So they played Beverett at Sam linebacker, and then they played Avery Williams and Darnell Sankey, who's been a big addition, with 3 defensive linemen. So they played Uguak on one side and Lemon, and then Mustafa Johnson inside. So, they're a smaller but faster. With Schiltz in there, I think you might see a little bit more of that 3-3, although I think it gives them a lot of blitz options and things, because it's just not something you see. So it'll be interesting to see if Sewell plays or if Avery Williams plays, which one, what they're worried about. And like I say, I think formation-wise, I think Hamilton showed in the game last week they're going to use a lot of tight end sets. They use Black at one tight end and Van Zyl at the other sometimes. They use wing backs. They have a fullback that they like to lead. So I think they're going to get a lot of gap problems for Montreal where they're going to have to get their secondary involved in the run fits or they're going to get hurt up the middle.
Okay, Calgary, stop crying about the Flames for a day or two, and let's look at the Stampeders who got their act together, Jim, just in time. And I see people saying Calgary's not going to be able to whip BC's ass twice in BC Place in 3 weeks. Maybe they can. Somehow they just flipped the switch and started playing. What's your read on the Western semifinal?
Oh, this is another great one. I mean, this one is actually, because of that 41-16 game, and, it's easy to just say, we'll just flush that down the toilet and go, but the bottom line was they started Vernon Adams. They wanted to win that game badly and put pressure on Winnipeg. And regardless of what they say, they got it handed to them badly. And you can't, when you get physically beat the way they got physically beat, you can't just hide that away. Now, can Calgary come out and do the same thing? I mean, Mayer only threw for 123 yards. They didn't make mistakes. They were opportunistic. Their defense created turnovers, and then they were able to convert those into points. So I think Calgary is a tough matchup for BC. I mean, you think you're going into BC Place, they are a big play team. They're playing indoors. They're a lot like the old Dick Vermeil, the greatest show on turf. They're the CFL version of that, with all these great receivers. And, again, they call him Big Play VA for a reason. He's going to make big plays. The question is, can Calgary's physicality up front, can they pressure Vernon Adams the way they did? A lot of times with three-man pressures, that BC offensive line, I thought, struggled badly. Mizell will be back. They need to get him incorporated to keep those linebackers honest, to keep Cam Judge out of the pass game, because when he drops, he's a threat. He just has a great nose for the ball. But Calgary is the more physical team, and that's been a problem for BC all year. So this is not a great matchup for them. They are indoors. The elements won't be a factor in their passing game. The Calgary secondary, I worry about. If they give up some big plays, or if the Calgary offense turns the ball over and gives them a short field, and they have Sean White, who was the best kicker in the West this year, he's going to convert those into points, even if they don't score majors. So again, just a really intriguing matchup, because you have speed and on both sides of the ball for BC, and then you have power on both sides of the ball for Calgary. And Kadeem Carey and Peyton Logan give them kind of a 1-2 punch that's different. It's not Kadeem Carey, Dedrick Mills, two guys that are similar. It's one will pound at you, and one's got some quickness.
You heard me chuckling there, because I think they call him Big Play VA. He came up with that, but he has lived up to it. And I love VA, so he gets it. We had him in Sask. We got along really good. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you saw me saying earlier, I was at the Dolphins game with Gil Scott last week, and he was like, I really enjoyed Jim on your show. I called him right after he got off the air the one day. I think you're realizing now the impact that this show has across the sports landscape. I'm glad that you're aware of that now.
I've been contacted by your listener, by a couple of them from all over, young guys, young female, that basically they want to know more about the profession. They want to know more about. So you spread wide, Rod. I can tell you that. I mean, like I say, I've been contacted more often than I ever thought. So that is true. And yeah, I knew you and Gil were going to that game together, and hope you guys had a blast. Sounds like you did.
Oh, we had a great time. We always have a great time when we get together. Audience question. David in Winnipeg says, comment for Jim with regards to the Most Outstanding Player Award. If Chad Kelly played and started all 18 games, he would deserve the award. But I feel with Brady Oliveira, what he's done is hard to ignore for Most Outstanding Player. Boy, they love Brady in Winnipeg. Does he have a shot to win it at Falls View Casino Thursday at Grey Cup week?
There's no doubt he's got a shot to win it. He's had just both what he's done carrying the ball and catching the ball. Again, when I look at this award, I look at what Chad Kelly did, and you have to throw out that it's his first year, because this is not about that. But to go into a team that last year with the same basic players was 11-7, same basic players on offense, and in games that he played over 13 snaps, they were 16-0. And how do you can't put or 15-0. He didn't play in that last game, so that was Duke. So he's 15-0. He didn't lose. He made Demontre Coxey was an Eastern All-Star. Deveris Daniels, he wasn't an All-Star with, when McLeod was there. Not any shot at McLeod. McLeod took us to a Grey Cup, won a Grey Cup. But Chad Kelly, he's now an Eastern All-Star. They're the offensive lineman getting the accolades. That's a player making players around him better. And he did that as well as anybody I've had in the league since Flutie. When we had him in 97, he made our worst offensive lineman had his best year. And it was important to him that that's the way things went. I think it's important to Chad Kelly. So I just don't see how you can, again, it's not about numbers. You can take numbers and statistics and twist them any way you want. He's only had 11 or 12 sacks against him as a quarterback in this league. That's unheard of. He's only thrown, I think, 10 or 11 interceptions. Again, I'm not the stat guy. Lapo's the stat guy. He always has. He knows all that. I don't have the stat. I just know that he doesn't throw a lot of game-losing interceptions. That's why the team wins. That's, again, this team is 16-2, and I believe he's the most outstanding player, even though Brady Oliveira is very deserving, and Brady Oliveira very well may win this. Again, you have to throw out he's a Canadian, because that's not what this award is about.
We only got a couple minutes here, but the breaking news today, Kahari Jones will not be back in Ottawa as offensive coordinator. You mentioned Paul LaPolice. I'd love to handicap or have a Calcutta who's going to be the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. If you were doing the hiring, those guys' names would be in it. Who would you be hiring?
Well, I'm not going to tell you who I would be hiring, but I would probably be hiring. I'd hire Scott Milanovich because I've had him. I know his toughness. I know how he is in the locker room. To me, it's always risky hiring people that you haven't worked with and that type of thing. And there's a guy available that I think is very qualified. So I would say in the current climate, that's who I would hire. I think Kahari is going to be a definite candidate. Lapo, obviously, he's a great candidate. I mean, when you get jobs, usually you get jobs because somebody leaves because you've done well, but that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, it's because you're going into a really bad situation. And he went into a bad situation in Ottawa. And again, I think he's to grade him simply on that, I don't know that that's good. So I think he's going to be a candidate. I think that Kahari's going to be a candidate. He did a nice job in Montreal. I don't know very well how those guys are as coaches in terms of dealing with the GM and those kinds of things. I know Henry Burris was brought up as a potential, and Henry was with me in Calgary. He was the first guy I signed as a general manager when I was in Calgary, and he's a great leader. But again, I'm old school, and I believe in that the more experiences you can have, and what kind of a staff can you bring, and that to me is going to be a big question for whoever they're going to hire. Is who can you bring into this, because you're not doing it yourself. And what assistant coaches can you tell us you're going to bring? And there's, when you're talking about getting coordinators and things along those lines, you have to have a deep breadth of people you've worked with, people that because again, you never know, just like players, you never know them till you coach them. You never know them till you're with them, till you watch them every day in and out. How are they in the office? How are they around the players? Are they? You don't know, and it's one of those things that once you're around them, and that's why coaches, when they're hired, normally surround themselves with people that they know. And again, it's one of those things that whoever they hire, Rod, here's my philosophy on new coach. The greatest job in the world is to be hired as the head coach for a new place. But half of the people there, and in Saskatchewan, it's probably, I would say, 55% of the people there didn't want you. And 45% say, okay, I mean, that's a legitimate hire. And then it's going to change 2 or 3% every year based on how you do. Sparky Anderson, he told me this when he was with the Cincinnati Reds. And he said, the key to my whole thing is I've been at 54% my career. You don't get too good, so they don't get too high of expectation. You don't get too bad, but you always stay competitive. And if you're going to get those years when you can win it all. So you just have to know, no matter who they hire, over half the people are probably not going to be real happy with it. And as a coach, you have to have the maturity. How are you going to handle that? Those are questions that, again, when I haven't been around people, it's hard for me to put my thumb on that without interviewing them.
Sure is fun to debate. It goes fast every week. Jim, thanks for this. We'll be watching tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Should be fun.
You bet. The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker joining us from Toronto at Advanced Division semifinal weekend. We have a sports update coming up. We have some more names to talk about on this coaching search. Next hour, Justin Cooper and Tim Fleiszer We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Football Friday continues, and what a football Friday it is. Ooh, doggy. I have had hardly any time to catch my breath and catch up with what's going on, because there's enough going on in my own little world of sports, let alone the outside world. And for instance, I don't know what's going on the high school football scene here tonight. I'm waiting until I get off the air at 2 p.m. Eastern, then I'll see if there's a high school playoff game. What's Cardinal Gibbons doing this weekend? Does anybody know? DeBuck. It's interesting. It's taken me a couple of years to get my handle around what we're doing here. As you know, I was in the coach's office of Cardinal Gibbons High School, 3-time 5A state champions in the state of Florida, high school football, a couple of weeks ago. And one of the coaches came up to me and goes, I watched your podcast, really loved your podcast. And I said, with the Panthers one? Florida Panthers? He goes, no, the CFL one. Oh, this one, the Rod Pedersen show. Thank you. So here's a guy in South Florida who loves the CFL talk, but then this morning I had a pretty good friend of mine, huge hockey fan. I don't want to name him, but he texted me and he goes, if it wasn't for your show and the social media, I would have no idea the CFL playoffs were even on this weekend. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to say about that. We're going to talk about it because I love the league, period. And that's why two of our guests next hour are on this show, because one of them called me up last weekend and says, we have a story we need to tell, and yours is the quintessential CFL show. And I'm like, I was proud of that. But we're going to talk about our hockey too. But there's just so much going on. I'm actually happy that the World Series ended on Wednesday, okay? Don't at me. But Rhonda Colescog writes us she's watching in Swift Current. She's written in on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers, brings you the text line every day. She says, only 147 days before spring training. Well, I hope, Rhonda, you find a way to spend those 147 days that will keep you happy while you're missing baseball, because I will tell you that I will not. It seems to me like it should be longer than that. Not that I'm not anti-baseball, but hockey and football is my jam. Which, speaking of sports update, breaking news on this Friday, veteran Matt Schultz will start at quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the East Division semifinal Saturday. Schultz's name appeared atop the depth chart released today by the Ticats. Hamilton will visit the Montreal Alouettes in the conference semifinal at Molson Stadium. According to this story, the move wasn't overly surprising as Schultz took the bulk of first-team reps during practice Thursday at Tim Hortons Field. Bo Levi Mitchell, who started Hamilton's final 3 regular season games, is listed as the club's ¡2 quarterback. But Thursday, head coach Orlando Steinauer said he expects both quarterbacks to play Saturday. This ain't a preseason game, where he's expecting Schultz to start and finish. So a little intrigue there in the Eastern semifinal Saturday. The Western semifinal has Calgary at BC. To be honest, there's not anywhere near the intrigue in that Western game. In my mind, I was reading the game notes of both games, and I was drooling over the Eastern semifinal game notes. The West just wasn't that interesting to me. This is the the first time ever that the BC Lions have hosted the Western semifinal in 2 straight years. I'm like, that's the most sizzling nugget we can find out of this. I'm going to be watching both games, sure, but the Eastern game far more interesting. There are just 2 games in the NHL tonight, with Philadelphia in Buffalo and St. Louis hosting New Jersey. Devils star Jack Hughes leads the league in scoring with 20 points in 9 games. Meanwhile, his older brother Quinn Hughes notched a goal and 5 assists. How about that? How about that, Clark? In Vancouver's 10-1 win over San Jose Thursday night, he leads all NHL defensemen in scoring with 16 points. See, that's a whole other thing, and I'm not done the sports update just yet, but I heard this morning on NHL radio that Jack Hughes, is he being running for Rookie of the Year? Connor Bedard has, no, who's the Hughes? Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes giving Connor Bedard a run for Rookie of the Year. It's already started. Just past November 1st. Yeah, I figured Jack Hughes had been in New Jersey for a while, but it's Luke Hughes, who's a stud. And then there's Quinn. Are you as confused as me? But the naysayers have come out of the woodwork on Connor Bedard already. He's not a shoo-in. That's fine. Keep doubting him. Brad Gushu and his Canadian team will face the United States, skit by Andrew Stapera, in the semifinals of the Pan-Continental Curling Championships in Kelowna, BC. Japan and Korea will meet in today's other semifinal. Saturday's women's final will also feature Japan and Korea. Canada's Carrie Anderson dropped an 8-4 decision to Korea in last night's women's semifinal. The Sports Update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And also by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, 5 nights at Freddy's. Can you survive 5 nights? The terrifying horror game phenomenon becomes a blood-chilling cinematic event as producer Blumhouse brings 5 nights at Freddy's to the big screen at Landmark Cinemas near you. In theaters now. Audience takeover next. Everything you want to get to, get at me. Sober Carpenter text line 902-518-3033 or the YouTube stream. We'll be back in a jiff here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Just a shorty here, this segment. It's what we like to call viewer takeover. And they've responded. We've got messages have come in on the Sober Carpenter text line 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers, ask for it by name. at your local beer, wine, and spirits store, like the Ice Factory in Estevan, Co-op, Wine and Spirits in Calgary, Lakeview Fine Foods in Regina, Sask. Glad you asked. Total Wine and Spirits here in South Florida. Thanks for joining us today on a Football Friday. If you've just joined us on YouTube, you might want to rewind and go back to the Jim Barker interview, because we kind of handicapped a little bit the Saskatchewan Roughriders coaching search. And just to map out the show again, Jim Lang joined us right off the hop because Moose is not with us. He's traveling to Vancouver to broadcast University football on Saturday. Canada West semifinal, UBC versus Manitoba. Saskatchewan Huskies travel to the Alberta Golden Bears and the other. We talked NFL, last night's Thursday night, lid lifter to Week 9. Pittsburgh Steelers roaring back to beat the Titans 20-16. We looked at other Week 9 games because it is a Football Friday. And then the breaking news, couple items coming out of the CFL today. Not only that Bo Levi Mitchell will not start for Hamilton in the Eastern semifinal, Matthew Schultz will, but also Kahari Jones, announced by the Ottawa Redblacks, will not be returning to the nation's capital as their offensive coordinator. And his name, I would think, has now gone into the mix to be the next head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I would think. He's been a head coach in Montreal. He's coached in Saskatchewan. I was with him there. I'll tell you a little story about Kahari because you guys love the stories. I think it was 2013, fairly infamous CFL story. Let's say there were 100 votes cast for the most outstanding Canadian in the CFL. 99 of them were voted for John Cornish, and 1 voted for Chris Getzlaff of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Guess who the 1 was that didn't vote for Cornish? And I was summarily, figuratively burned at the stake by other CFL media, some CFL pundits, and a lot of Calgary sports fans. So it was in the playoffs that year. Was Kahari on our staff, or was it? I think it was the next year. We were on a bus anyway, somewhere. And I was telling the story. Kahari was in the seat in front of me. He looks back between the seats and he's like, "You mean to tell me you're the only one out of 100 guys and gals who didn't vote for Cornish?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's right." That's awesome, man. I'm like, "Well, I think so," but they really didn't think so in Calgary. Buffalo Bill writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line 90. And I had my reasons for voting for Getzlaff, by the way. Buffalo Bill says, "Greetings and no hallucinations from Bakken." Is that North Dakota? He says, "Stampeders over Lions. Upset. Boomsies." He says, "Your 1111th show was on November 1st, 0111. How about that? He says, "Grey Cup, Toronto will beat Winnipeg in overtime." Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, "Fast facts. The Argos went 31 years in a row without a Grey Cup, yet had the most cups at 18. And in 1971, they had 33,000 season ticket holders." How about that? What are you trying to get a job as the Argos PR guy, bro? They already got one, bro. Anyways, it's just me and you to kick off hour 2, okay? So whatever you would like to talk about, and I'll throw hockey on the table for that, all these various football leagues, and then Tim Fleiszer and Justin Cooper with a very interesting message in the second segment of next hour. So stick around. We'll be back after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE Radio.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Now, we are airing in Boston, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C.
How about that?
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California, Arizona, Colorado, Oklahoma, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Vermont, Maine. I've been everywhere, man.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. That's a fact, Jack. And welcome inside. What I was reciting there, by the way, is all the states that the Rod Pedersen Show airs in America, in the good old USA. But, of course, on national television across Canada, on the Game Plus television network, and, of course, on the radio in Atlanta. How about those Dirty Birds? They got the Minnesota Vikings in town. We got a busy hour 2 upcoming here on this Football Friday. It was a busy hour 1. Jim Lang joined us to kick off the show. We talked some NHL. We talked about the Leafs losing in Boston last night, 3-2 in a shootout, and how the Bruins roughed up the Leafs, and Ryan Reeves didn't do anything about it, nor Bertuzzi. It's never easy in Leafville. I don't understand what that is. What's the drama with these iconic franchises? The Leafs. Montreal Canadiens aren't really going through it right now. Yankees always seem to have some sort of strife. Gosh knows the Rough Riders do. Dallas Cowboys, talk to me about it. It's never easy in these places. Don't know why. But this hour, I would like to play Deal or No Deal for the National Football League's Week 9, but we'll do it without Moose. I've got the betting point spreads here from our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. You see the crown beside me. So at some point, I'd like to do that. And Grey Cup champion Tim Fleiszer, 3-time Grey Cup champion Tim Fleiszer will be with us. He's a sports agent now, but he also runs the Canadian Center for Brain Health. Am I right in that, Tim? I'm going to get you to explain it when he joins us. And the very first CFL alum to go through their program will join us, Justin Cooper. Called the helpline for struggling football players, and it's a good news story. Justin Cooper, 13 years with the Edmonton Eskimos. Red Deer product will be with us later on. I said to Clark that I could handle this opening of the second hour on my own, and believe it or not, I'm going to show you that I dag-nabbit I can. Whether it's entertaining or not is another thing, but I'm going to do it. 10 years sports talk radio in Riderville has prepared me for this moment. That was just batting practice. Jason in Red Deer writes in and he says, hey, Rod, can we talk about how dominating the Vegas Golden Knights are right now? No, because it's Football Friday, but thanks for paying attention. I'm kidding. You also have to give, fish where the fish are. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. John Ohm writes that he says, after watching the Vegas Golden Knights manhandle the Winnipeg Jets, I believe the Knights can repeat as champions. They stay healthy and stick to their game, they're untouchable. Boom! That's from John Ohm. Just because they beat the Jets 5-2, now we believe that they're dominant? You didn't think the 7-0 start was that? The history-making 7-0 start, or the NHL leading plus-minus differential? No, they were dominant before they kicked the Jets' ass. Breaking news, couple of items coming out of the Canadian Football League. If you're just tuning in for Hour 2 and missed all of Hour 1, you missed what I was saying earlier. I had a friend of mine, big hockey fan, write me, and he said, if it wasn't for your show and your social media, I wouldn't even know the CFL playoffs were on. I don't even know what that says. It's like, what I believe is, and we talked about it in our morning meeting, Clark was part of this, and Joe, our COO, that's our edge. That's what sets us apart. Now, I know everybody else is talking about other things right now, the NFL, NHL. Not a lot of people talking about the CFL, certainly not in daytime, day parts, as they say in our business. Call me crazy, but I love it, and that's why I do it. So the breaking news are these. Matthew Schultz will start at quarterback. Schultz Creek for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Saturday's CFL Eastern semifinal at the Montreal Alouettes. I've picked Hamilton to win. That was with Bo starting. I guess I'll stick with that, even though I'm cheering for the Montreal Alouettes and my guy, Cody Fajardo. And in the West Division semifinal, it's the doubleheader on Saturday, which they've moved the games from Sunday to Saturday for the first time in 15 years. It's the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. Now would be a good time to give you our poll question for Key Auto Group. And by the way, at Key Auto Group, driven by safety, experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. We threw a curveball at you, and a little more specifically at producer Clark. I told him one poll question and then tweeted another. So for the YouTube audience, the question is, who should coach the Saskatchewan Roughriders? Paul LaPolice, Henry Burris, Scott Milanovich, or other? Clark, can you tell me who's leading as we sit here right now? 35% saying Scott Milanovich. Henry Burris is second. I don't think it matters what the fans vote or think, but it might. I don't know how they run things there in Riderville. But Jim Barker, well, the other breaking news is that came out of Ottawa today. The Ottawa Red Blacks announcing that Kahari Jones will not return as their offensive coordinator. So, because it's a Football Friday, it's playoff weekend, I'm going to devote some time here to all of this talk. So that was the one poll question on YouTube, and then I went and tweeted, are you in agreement with the CFL's decision to move its playoff games from Sunday to Saturday? And how about this? Over 80% of you saying yes, you are. It's similar to Wednesday's poll question of, are you in favor of neck guards being made mandatory at the junior and professional hockey levels? And landslide there, too, over 80% saying yes. I kind of like the idea of progress. I like the idea of evolution and evolving, or you do die. You get left behind. So kudos to the CFL for doing these things. So anyways, there was a time And Gil's probably watching right now because he tells me he does all the time. Hi, Gil. Gil Scott, player agent to the Stars, pretty much ran the Canadian Football League. He represented all the general managers. He represented all the coaches. He represented all the best players. He doesn't have as many of those guys anymore, but he still represents some of the heavy hitters. And one of those is Kahari Jones. And I know Gil well enough. He won't mind me saying this. When I was with him last Sunday at the Dolphins game, I said, we didn't know at that time that Kahari Jones was, this news was going to happen today, that Kahari wasn't going to be back in Ottawa. But now he's a free agent. And I said to Gil in Hard Rock Stadium, in the Hard Rock Suite last Sunday, I said, why did Kahari turn down the Rough Riders last year? Because he was offered the offensive coordinator job. And Gil goes, well, that was easy. The head coach only had a year left on his deal. And look what happened. That coach got canned. So had Kahari gone to Saskatchewan, he'd be out on his ass now. Now, in retrospect, he's out on his ass anyways. But he was the head coach in Montreal, fired there. He's had a rough go for a guy that really doesn't deserve it in my mind. I'll try and land the plane here. That's a pretty impressive list of potential coaches for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, on our Instagram, I put a poll on there. And go follow us, would you please? I don't ask you to do much. At The Rod Pedersen Show on Instagram. The poll was the same as what Clark put up. Who should coach the Riders? Paul Appelese, Henry Burris, Scott Milanovich, or other. And Henry Burris was running away with that the last I saw. So what it's telling me is this field is wide open. And Gil also represents Ken Austin, who is the current, well, I believe he's the offensive coordinator at Auburn, but I think his title is special assistant to the head coach, Hugh Freeze, at Auburn. And Gil said Kent's not coming back to Saskatchewan because he'll want total control of personnel, and they already have a general manager there. So, no. So I'm not even putting Ken Austin's name in these polls. See how scintillating things can be in the Canadian Football League if you just look for the stories? One more time before I jump into NFL Deal or No Deal. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us right here in the control room in Florida, the Florida studio, 902-518-3033. I'm looking at yesterday's text message from Bomber Boy. He lives in Calgary, but he goes by Bomber Boy. I think might be a confused person. But his text from yesterday, because I was wearing that Golden Knights shirt, remember? He goes, maybe RP's Vegas shirt will be the kiss of death for the Knights tonight. Great show. Go Jets. 5-2 Vegas. I don't jinx teams. You'd like to think that, but I don't. What else do we have here? I'm just checking the YouTube stream. Stick with me. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I like Kahari Jones as a head coach and would be okay with him in Sask. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I thought Henry Burris was public enemy #1 in Sask. Yeah, they flipped pretty quick there. Trust me, I know. I only lived there for half a century. And Ken Austin was public enemy #1 until he was hired as head coach in 2007 after having no prior head coaching experience before. That seemed to work out fine. Hit a 1,000% batting percentage, 1 for 1. Won a championship. See ya. Out to Ole Miss. But again, what do I know? BetRegal is our official and exclusive betting partner. I ask you to please go to betregal.ca this weekend and join the club. Sign up for free. You can play for free at BetRegal. Sign up today. Sign up today at betregal.net. Here are your NFL Week 9 games, and they're salacious, aren't they? It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Just pointing that out. And 11:11 Mountain. Awesome. I do believe it is the game of the week in the NFL, Miami versus Kansas City over in Germany, 9:30 a.m. kickoff Eastern. Don't forget there's a time change this weekend, too. That affects everybody but Saskatchewan and Arizona. historically a Cowboys fan here, but you're a product of your environment. Write it down. You're a product of your environment. And the more that I'm in South Florida, I think it's 40 miles from the stadium, something like that. You just can't help but absorb the Dolphin talk, the buzz. Last night I was out with my club. Man, did we have a good time. The guys in my gang. And what was the talk? The Dolphins. Now, having said that, we met a new guy, and he's a fellow Canadian. First time I met him. And he's a big hockey fan, and he's actually a very big fan of our Cats and Bolts podcast that Serena and I started because he's a huge fan of hockey and both the Panthers and the Lightning. He goes, I like them both. I said, then you'll love our show, the Cats and Bolts podcast. Anyways, the Cowboys for now are still my NFL team, but the Dolphins are wiggling their way in there, especially when I learned Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins, is in recovery too. Hell of a story. Look it up on YouTube. Mike McDaniel. So the Chiefs are favored by 1.5. That's a almost razor-thin line over there in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. I'm not taking the deal. I suck at betting. Did I ever tell you that? Moose, he's a far better CEO because, let's talk about him. He's not here. He doesn't have a heart. He didn't have a problem separating his head and his heart. I just can't do that. That's why I suck at betting. He's much better at it than me. I'm taking the Dolphins to beat the Chiefs. It's only a 1.5 spread. No deal. Minnesota Vikings at Atlanta. They're starting the rookie, the Vikings. Come on. That's a deal for me, dog. Falcons by 4. And that's, as of this morning, the point spread. Seattle at Baltimore. The Ravens favored by 6. I'll take it. Approved. And these games that I don't have a rooting interest, it's not that hard. Yeah, it's not that hard when you don't care who wins. Arizona at Cleveland. The Cardinals are a grease fire. The Browns are favored by 8, even though they don't know who's starting at quarterback last I heard. I'll take the Browns, 8 or more. How about those Green Bay Packers? I can't believe this. They've lost 4 in a row. That I can believe. I can't believe they're favored by 3 at home over the LA Rams. And I'm not taking that deal. Play along with me, by the way, at betregal.net, as you see, and you can sign up for free and start playing. Tampa Bay at Houston. Bucks are on a slide. Texans are coming around after an 0-2 start, and they're favored by 3. It's the Danny Barrett factor. I'm taking the Texans to cover. Washington at New England. Rumor out there is that the Commanders are going to try and pry away Bill Belichick on the weekend, or at least for next season. Patriots favored by 3. I'll take it. New Orleans favored by 8.5 over Chicago. Absolutely going with that one in New Orleans. Colts at Panthers. Colts favored by 2.5. Nah, it's a no from me, dog. I'm taking the Panthers in Charlotte. Giants at Vegas. Anybody is going to beat the Giants. Even the hapless Las Vegas Raiders, who will probably be playing guilty. They're favored by 2. I'll take them to cover. Cowboys at Eagles. Many of you feel it's America's game of the week. It's not even prime time, but it's Cowboys at Eagles, and the Eagles favored by 3. That's a no from me. Bills at Cincy, that's the primetime game. Bengals favored by 2. I'll take it. And on Monday Night Football, the Chargers at the Jets. LA favored by 3.5. No deal for me. Gotham Green will win in prime time. We got some very special guests coming up next. Stick around on this Football Friday. They fit right in for the theme today. They're just right for the party. Tim Fleiszer and Justin Cooper after this break on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues on a Football Friday. A reminder that Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers is now to the end of time, sponsoring our text line. The Montreal-based company, Sober Carpenter, proudly supporting the RP Show. You can write us at 902-518-3033. Tim Fleiszer won 3 Grey Cups in the Canadian Football League, and now he's the head of the Concussion Legacy Foundation. And Justin Cooper's from Red Deer, spent from 2008 to 2010 as a defensive lineman with the Edmonton Eskimos, won a Vanier Cup with Manitoba. He's a bit of a gridiron great. And I welcome him to the RP Show today for a little PR for the Concussion Legacy Foundation. Tim, I'm going to start with you, man. I feel like I'm just a steward here, like a bit of a MC. Would you mind introducing the audience to what we're talking about?
Sure. So the Concussion Legacy Foundation, for those of you who are following sports, you'd know us by the autopsy work that's being done at Boston University on deceased football players and hockey players, having identified the brain disease chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. And so I run the Canadian side of that. And one of the services that we offer is a helpline. And so we wanted to come and talk today. We'll be hosting a poker tournament in advance of the Grey Cup, an online tournament on November 7th, 11th, and 14th at 9 p.m. And it's to raise money for the helpline, but more importantly, to raise awareness. And what my hope is with the Grey Cup approaching, it's a great time for all of us to reach out to former teammates and make sure that everybody's doing okay. Unfortunately, the majority of us are doing fine, but there are some of our teammates that are struggling with brain injury and some of the associated symptoms. And so very, very proud of Justin today, who is willing to come on the show and tell his story.
Yeah, as am I. Justin, welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show. It was a treat to broadcast your games in Edmonton for those seasons. And Tim wanted to bring you on because it's a good story. We've heard so many not good stories, Justin. So thanks for being part of the show today. And tell us what's yours.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. Yeah, so I mean, hey, look, I played a bunch of football my life. I got into it a little late. I started high school, grade 10. Normally, guys will start peewees or bantams, but got into it late. Just a farm kid in Central Alberta, so sports and that sort of thing was just not as prevalent as it could have been if I was in the city. But so anyway, I got a pretty good feel for the game in grade 10 and going forward, and had some early success and fell in love with the game. Did some junior football in Edmonton for the Edmonton Huskies, and again had some success. Moved on and played. I got a scholarship with we won a Canadian Bowl there with the Huskies in 2004. Moved on, got a scholarship with the Manitoba Bisons, and we also won a Vanier Cup in 2007. Had some pretty good success there as well, and ended up being drafted to the Edmonton Eskimos, now the Elks, in 2008. So. Yeah, now that was about a three and a bit year career professionally. Unfortunately, lower body injuries and some concussion symptoms sort of made me second guess my future with football, and I cut my career short. But the way to it, I suppose, is. Yeah, I mean, I received many concussions, and I don't even know what the definition of a concussion is. But I mean, if you're blackout, I've definitely been around 10 for sure. And if it counts as seeing stars, maybe hundreds, if not thousands. So I mean, damn near every rep on the line, you're making some kind of head contact. So anyway. I fell in love with the game. I loved it. I loved the violence of the game. I loved the camaraderie of, you don't think of these things when you're playing. It's almost, for the first few years of my career, I never did receive any concussions. And I was starting to wonder, like, what the heck, man? Like, what's wrong with me? I must not be playing hard enough. It's almost idolized or romanticized this idea of you have to get this ding or this concussion, or you're not playing hard enough or something. But anyway, you play long enough, you're going to get them, and got them. I did. So with that, I mean, there's two sides to this. There's the concussion thing with football, and then there's the pain management side, and a lot of times it goes side by each. And for me, it certainly did, especially as I got into the professional ranks. As I started to play a little bit more, and the seriousness of losing your job to the ever-revolving door into that locker room is real every single day. So you'll do whatever it takes to keep your job, and if that means a needle in your ass, some Toradol or some whatever it is, prednisone, Percocets, oxycodone, just to keep yourself on that field, you're going to do it. And a lot of us did. Some of those drugs I mentioned weren't sanctioned by the team, but a lot of them were. Certainly that Toradol and Tramadol, it was given out like candy. And just a little bit of the knowledge I do have, I think there's been some recent, Tim probably can allude on it a little bit more, but I know with Toradol, there's maybe some thoughts about its contribution to concussions, just by way of making your blood thinner. I think there was a study done in 2011 on this. I'm fairly certain I'm correct, but so there's that. There's that component to this concussion deal. Certainly looks like it might have been aided unintentionally, right? You're just trying to treat pain, but the stuff that you're doing, had a negative side effect to that concussion part. So then you fork off from that. Now you're starting to get into this pain medication, and you're starting to need it. And you're probably not thinking super clear because you're all concussed and the whole season. It's probably not the same for everybody, but certainly in my case, I don't even remember much of my pro career just because, I received quite a few concussions, but with the pain medication, that became its own problem, and I remember. I'll tell you this story, and then I'll get back onto the concussions. But I think with concussions and traumatic brain injury, I think addiction and some of these other things sort of go hand in hand. So I thought maybe I'd cover that real quick. But you're after the game, I'd go home and I'd review the film and a bottle of Percocet. You take a few of those, and you have your bottle of Crown Royal with you. You're drinking that. You're on prednisone because you just blown up your Achilles tendon there 4 or 5 games ago, and you're still playing on that. Now you're not quite feeling real good yet, so now you add some oxycodons. You take 20 mils of that, and now you're feeling pretty good. You're in a good place to watch your review your film, so you know what you're getting into the next morning when you go for your team meeting. But so I did that, and I would do this often. But the one night I remember I was sleeping with my sister. I was staying with my sister at the time in Edmonton, and I definitely overdone her. My heart was slowing down to a spot where I was actually quite scared, and it was beating quite hard. So what I did is I just went downstairs and I hid, I guess, in the basement. But that was the first time in a long time I prayed, and I'll tell you, I said to God, I said, if I wake up tomorrow, I'll stop this. I'll stop it right away. And so that's what I said to him. But he let me have it for a little bit longer. I started to actually hallucinate in that bedroom. I started to see orange and hearing things that obviously weren't there, and it was a fairly scary moment for me. I was still with it enough to know that this wasn't real, but something was seriously wrong with what was going on in my head. So anyway, I woke up the next morning. Obviously, we're here talking, but I had that little come to Jesus moment in my life, and I stopped the pills anyway that day. But I guess where I wanted to go with that was just say, like, I know for a fact that there's people that are struggling with this, and you got to stop, man. Like it'll ruin your life. I had a couple good friends, one in particular that played football. He was a fairly significant, high-profile guy. It took him down a path where I'm sure he didn't want to go. However, he's made good on his deal right now. He's doing, I won't name names, but he's doing really good for himself, and he's trying to help people, as Tim is trying to help right now as well, and just me trying to help by sharing my story. So I mean that happened, and then now that was a significant part of my professional career was drugs, pain medication in particular, and alcohol for sure. I mean, Tim, you know, I mean, the pain that you're in, that you live in, is just, you can't explain this to people. They don't understand what that constant pain is. I mean, it's incredible, really. I sit back and I can't believe I put myself through it, but it's an excuse, but that's what it was. That's why so many people get on this stuff, is because it's unbearable. But
well, I want to say, Justin, kudos to you, by the way, for showing the courage to talk about it and do it. Tim, where does the Concussion Legacy Foundation come into this? Did Justin call you guys, or where did you fit into this?
Yeah, so and unfortunately, we see a number of these scenarios, and you know, an important part of this story is it was Justin's teammates that helped connect him with me, and we were able to connect him with the medical care that he needed. And specifically, Patrick Kabongo and Graham Bell. Pat Kabongo, a longtime teammate of mine, really good friend, knew the work that I was doing with the foundation, knew this is a service that we offer, and was able to connect me with Justin. We were able to get him the medical help that he needed. And it seems like today Justin's doing great. And I think what's really important about this story is for those guys that are out there suffering, and Justin said it, we know those guys are out there. And coming into the Grey Cup, which is a time where a lot of us reconnect with our former teammates, you know, we've created this poker event. It was one of the things that we did a lot when we were players, was sit around and play cards. You know, specifically that 07 Riders team. We used to have a weekly poker game, and so got a number of those guys playing there with me in this online tournament that's coming up. Andy Fantuz, Luke Mullender, Chris Getzlaff, and Davis Sanchez and Richie Leone are joining as well. And a big part of us doing this is trying to find those guys, ask them to come out and play with us. But it's a check-in. How are you doing? Is everything okay? And if somebody's not doing okay, if somebody's experiencing something that's similar to Justin, whether that be cognitive issues, whether that be substance abuse, whether that be mental health issues, all of those are potentially symptoms of brain injury. And so that helpline, if anybody out there needs help, it's concussionfoundation.ca/helpline. And you go in, you fill out the form. A lot of times you need a caregiver, because asking somebody who's neurologically impaired to self-report is a terrible strategy. It's like asking somebody who's had too much to drink whether they're okay to drive. A lot of times it takes that teammate, like Pat and Graham did for Justin, to get them in touch with the help that they need. And from there, we've resolved 5,000 inquiries. And this service is available all across North America. It's not just for Canadians. We help guys that are in the U.S. as well. And we've resolved 5,000 inquiries. And so I think the important part of Justin's story, and it's tough to listen to, and it was tough to talk to Justin at that time, and to see somebody who was in a dark place. And I know you know about that as well, Rod. And I'm just so proud of him for having the courage to reach up his hand and take the help that was offered. And just want people to know there can be a happy ending to this story, and make sure that people know that in the darkest days that there is hope. And so I'm proud of Justin for having come on today and shared his story.
As am I. Huge balls, Justin, for you to do that. Again, bravo. You had a message for somebody that's still struggling, football players. Can you say it again? Can you say that again to people that were in your shoes, that they don't have to stay there?
Yeah, I mean, like Tim nailed it. There's help, right? There's just help. You're not going to be able to necessarily self-diagnose, so hopefully you've got a sphere of support group that are around you that cares about you, loves you, of course, and really listen to what they're telling you. Don't blow it off. Like, I mean, I sort of did that with my wife Deanna, who I love dearly, but you know, she talked to me and mentioned, like, hey, look, you're short tempered, you're this, and you blow it off, but you can't, man. You gotta listen to it and take the words for what they are and do something about it. I mean, there's so many things for me, like for people with head injury, like hormones are they're affected. I was, by the grace of God, introduced to Tim, who set me up with some specialists in Calgary. It turns out I have pituitary gland damage. I don't produce human growth hormone anymore. It was as simple as replacing that hormone in my body, and that made an immense difference in my life. So there are solutions. They're not overly complicated. They're not this daunting thing. It's just you got to do it. You got to start.
I apologize for chuckling as you talk, as I'm like, no, they're not major things. They're little tweaks. They're just to get you sent the right way. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you're talking about being irritable with your wife, I'm like, bing, depression. We can fix that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, absolutely. Tim, again, how can players get in touch with you guys?
concussionfoundation.ca/helpline. And, one of the things, having played on 5 teams in 10 years, a lot of guys have my cell number. And so, again, if you know anybody, know any of your teammates, and look, this is not just an issue for professional football players. This is an issue for anybody who served in the military. This is an issue for survivors of accidents and violence. This is an issue for anybody who's been exposed to repetitive head injury. And so for anybody who, like Justin, is in a bad place, we're here. We've got a really good track record of being able to help, and we'll do whatever we can to get you the help that you need.
Awesome job, guys. Tim, you're God sent. Thanks for lining us up with Justin. Justin, keep going, and enjoy the football this weekend, guys. Keep in touch.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you very much.
Great job. See you, Justin. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover. We got a lot of comments coming in on this interview and a sports update as well. We'll be right back on a Football Friday on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
My name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's a Football Friday, talking sports in paradise, gorgeous South Florida. Very much looking forward to a wonderful football weekend. And I'll tell you, that's what I love about this show. I'll read you some viewer comments from the gang on the interview with Justin Cooper and Tim Fleiszer from the Puck and Pigskin podcast. That's Jason in Red Deer. He says, I'm a few minutes behind, but man, what a story from Justin. So glad he realized what was happening and had the courage to do something about it. From Kevin the Medium, he says, this is why the RP show is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Thanks, Rod, for doing these types of interviews. Wayne in Victoria, BC, what a great segment, Rod. Just another reason why I love the RP show. Thank you to the IKS crew, Clark and Jordan, for figuring out a way to do the Hollywood squares there. Arlen Bruce III writes in and says, stay strong, Justin. I'm with you 100%. Staying healthy is the key, mentally and physically. Health is wealth. And it was Tim. He called me last Saturday. I was driving to the Panthers and Kraken game, and he said, hey, yours is the quintessential CFL show. We have a story to tell, and we'd like to come on your show. And I'm like, let's do it. When can we do it? Let's do it Football Friday. And here we are. And then I'm getting other messages on the recovery side. People are saying Justin Cooper should be dead. The only reason he's still alive is he's got a story to share and lives to save. That's a fact. Won't be at Grey Cup, unfortunately. We talked about this yesterday. I won't be at Grey Cup, unfortunately, due to commitments here in the United States. But I hope to be at every Grey Cup from now to the end of time and do some fundraiser for this helpline. I just got, in my mind, I'm like, we need to promote the poker tournament a little more coming up. Charity poker tournament involving some rider greats. What did he say? Fantus, Luke Mullender, Chick, all my guys. I got to get some more details on Fleiszer, and I think the audience can participate in that, right, Flies? I'm not a gambler. A sports update. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson will start Sunday against Arizona, returning to play for just the second time in 5 weeks after he was sidelined with a right shoulder injury. Watson's been dealing with a strained rotator cuff. He first sustained it on September 24th against the Titans. He's missed 3 complete games and played only 12 snaps on October 22nd against Indy. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski said today Watson had a solid week of practice. Quote, he's comfortable and he has looked good. San Jose Sharks remain winless on the NHL season after a 10-1 loss to Vancouver. Quinn Hughes had a goal and 4 assists for the Canucks. The 5 other Canadian teams lost Thursday night, the ones that were in action. Arizona beat Montreal 3-2. Vegas whipped Winnipeg 5-2. Oilers lost 4-3 to Dallas. Maybe that win over Calgary wasn't as special as you thought, because the Flames have lost 6 in a row. LA got by Ottawa 3-2, and Boston edged Toronto 3-2 in a shootout. Canadian skip Carrie Anderson says her appearances in bronze medal games at international events are getting old. South Korea's Eunji Kim beat Einarson 8-4 at the Pan-Continental Curling Championships in Kelowna, BC. Last night, Einarson is the reigning 4-time national champ, but has yet to win gold at a World Curling Federation competition. She's playing American Tabitha Pedersen in the third-place game today. Meanwhile, Canada's Brad Gushue is 2 wins away from defending his Pan-Continental men's curling title. He earned the top seed in round-robin play and will face American Corey Dropkin in today's semifinal. The competition serves as a qualifier for the Worlds. And make it 4 losses in 5 games for the Raptors. They dropped a 114-99 decision to the Philadelphia 76ers Thursday night. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas in theaters November 17th. Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, starring Rachel Zegler and Tom Blythe. And also by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. At Common Crown, they know the best beer is the one that's earned. Cheers to a great weekend. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover in overtime for Overtime Hockey Lanes. Whatever you'd like to talk about. The text line's open, 902-518-3033 for Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers. We will be right back on Game Plus, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I got caught reading my phone here, checking up on the old emails and so forth. Clark, I'm talking to you. Is tonight the Pats military game? Is that tonight? I see the God's team is home to the Brandon Wheat Kings. Is that tonight? Do you know? I have the email here. I'm just too lazy to open it. Did I lose connection with the mothership? Ah, he's gone. Okay, where did I see this? Regina Pat's military appreciation game. Is that tonight? Must not be. Yeah. I did look this up. It's very interesting, that interview there with Justin Cooper. And, Kevin the Medium, that's what he does. He texted me and he said, this guy, Justin Cooper, he was watching the interview, Kevin the Medium. He also does sales for us. And he said that this guy's got angels around him. He's supposed to be dead. Yep. He was kept alive for a reason, to help other people. And that's why he came on here to talk about it. And, I hope you see that clips of that interview in the future, and struggling people. As Fleiszer said, not just football players see it, and log on to concussionfoundation.ca/helpline and get the help that they need. It's not a secret that for my own reasons, I was a struggling person for a long time, and but I found what I need to be successful. For instance, just doing one thing at a time. This bracelet says one day at a time, but a lot of times I got to go one moment at a time. So in this point being, in this last commercial break, I was looking up what the football scene is here on the high school front tonight, because in America, God bless it, Fridays are for football, Saturdays are for college, and Sundays for the NFL. Well, tonight, Cardinal Gibbons is home to Clearwater Christian. 6 p.m. down in Fort Lauderdale. It's only 12 miles away. But I knew I had to get through the show first, and then I'll look into what I'm doing later on. And it works. And everybody's happy. How about that?
How about
902-518-30. Yeah, he's back. 902-518-3033. Does that mean Clark's back in his chair? No? Okay. Oh, is tonight the military game, do you know, for the Pats? Next week. Thank you. I knew you'd know. I knew you'd know. That's why I was asking. Okay. From WQEE, Ryan O'Radio, who, by the way, is the man around here. Ryan O'Radio was watching his show this morning, The Radio Penitentiary. Far more fun than it sounds. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Ryan. I think that's hilarious that you name your show The Radio Penitentiary. Because let's be honest, who would want to go into a penitentiary? But I do. And I enjoy the show. Ryan O'Radios. We got the best, what do you say, the best lineup? Best in the business? Talking sports noon to 5 p.m. in the metro Atlanta area. How about those Dirty Birds? Hashtag rise up. We're going to have our way with the Vikings on Sunday. Big football weekend. Allie in Texarkana writes in and says, great football Friday episode. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Wayne in BC says, just one of the best football Friday shows. Jeff the Stamps fan, it's funny. I was thinking about him. Yeah, I don't want to admit I was thinking about Jeff off hours off the show. But he says here, while most of Canada sets their clocks back on Saturday night, the BC Lions will move theirs forward to the 2024 CFL season. He wrote in here yesterday. This is what a joke, right? He wrote in here yesterday and said, in all caps, for anybody that thinks the Calgary Stampeders don't deserve to be in the playoffs, we don't care. Nobody thinks that, Jeff. Stop manufacturing drama. Nobody thinks that. From Key Radio, WQEE, thanks, says Ryan O'Radio. Best in the business. Thank you, sir. From Jason in Red Deer, he says this Saturday is, in fact, the Pats military game. As in tomorrow? Ryan in upstate New York writes in and says, hi, Ryan. Says, hi, Rod Squad. It's Ryan checking in on my YouTube channel. Enjoy whichever sports you watch this weekend. His podcast is the No Credentials Required podcast. Jeffrey in Winnipeg writes in and says, I heard the Bombers are buying the Riders and moving them to Nova Scotia. Now, wouldn't that be a trick? A joke just came into mind about Newfies, but it's 2023 and I'd probably get canceled. Jen at Four Seasons writes in. She says, enjoy the weekend, everyone. See you Monday on Game Plus. Oh, from the text line, Kirk in Toronto. I don't know if Kirk realizes that when we are preempted on Game Plus, you can come on over here to YouTube and watch us here. That was a Moose idea. But anyways, Kirk writes in and says, hey, Rod, the RP show is too good to be replaced by pickleball on Game Plus today. Who the hell watches 9 hours of that? Brutal. Hot damn. All I can say is make your complaints known to Anthem Sports and the Game Plus television network. That's all I'm saying. I don't even want to. Glenn McDonald's the guy. I kind of wish you didn't tell me that because it makes no difference to me. It makes no difference to my paycheck. It makes no difference to how I do the show, whether we're on television or not. It makes no difference. But interesting breaking news today as we go off there on this Friday and work towards a wonderful weekend. Matthew Schultz starts at quarterback for the Ticats, not Bo Levi, in the Saturday Eastern semifinal at Montreal. And Kahari Jones is out in Ottawa as the offensive coordinator. He just moved to the front of the Calcutta to be the next coach, head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I would suggest. Thanks for a great week, everybody. Thanks to the crew today. And we will see you Monday at noon Eastern here on Game Plus. And the key.
Who has more fun than us?